All right, welcome back in the Bobby Carpenter Show. And it's a Friday. It's post-draft. It's a huge day for the Buckeyes, Schlegs. And listen, if you're out there watching, we appreciate like, subscribe, follow us on social media, X, Instagram as well, at Bobby Carp Show, at Schlegel Valley, at BCarp3, all around the place. Just follow us. We're going to give you some great nuggets. Well, listen, we had Donovan Jackson on for you last week. Now, I would have introduced him as first-round NFL draft pick, Donovan Jackson. But a huge boon for Ohio State, if you will. I mean, they were able to really clean up, and I think they increased their lead of number one over our first-round picks. Now I think they're up 9 on the second-place team. Maybe it's Alabama. I'm not sure. I can't remember exactly who it is, but I think they have 91. I think first-round NFL draft picks in the history of the draft, because it was a huge day, man. And I don't think people like fully realized everything that was going on with all of that. And it was incredibly exciting. We're going to talk a lot about the draft, of what happened on Thursday night. We'll talk a lot about what is potentially going to happen on Friday night and then into Saturday.
My thing was this. I knew that Emeka was going. Again, we talked yesterday about his value. I think the Bucs saw the value, right? And they wanted to go get that. He is going to be fantastic. Anthony Paroli, head strength coach, you're welcome. You're not going to have to do anything with this guy. He's going to be amazing. And then it just all started to like transpire. And Donnie going at 24 to the Vikes, love the fit. And then you see Tyleek, which everybody was like a shocker. But Bob, as you know, people that know Tyleek's value inside. Detroit needed it. I think a Dan Campbell guy. They have guys on the perimeter. Yes, they got hurt, but you got to be able to stop the run. Tyleek is a guy that can do that. And then the Josh Simmons, when I'm going through and everybody's talking about Shedeur, I'm thinking about the Buckeyes. I'm thinking about our guys. And then I was like, you know what? KC is going to be a great fit because of how athletic he is and what they like to be able to do. But also, they suffered this year because they couldn't protect Patrick Mahomes. And if you're like, hey, we can ooze him back. Booger McFarland did a great job because he had the same injury, talking about where he's going to be. But you get if he was healthy, he'd be a bona fide top 10 pick. And you're going to get him at 32. What a great value. 4 Buckeyes. We said on the show yesterday, I thought it would be 3. I actually thought it was going to be, probably the mix was Donnie and Tyleek and who is going to leak in there. I did think Emeka and Josh were the guys that were a lock. And then just watching it transpire, Bob, of all those guys going, great first day for the Buckeyes.
Really was. And we had our poll results yesterday. We'll get to here in a minute. But if you look at that, Emeka fits well with Tampa. Godwin coming off an injury. Plug and play. They're a team that's trying to win right now. He's an NFL pro-ready guy. He's going to be a great guy in the locker room for Todd Bowles down there. And so he checks all of those boxes that they're looking to have. And I think each one of these players is pretty impressive. So he'll go do everything he's done. It wouldn't surprise if he catches 80 balls. Then you go, next guy off the board, Donovan Jackson. I thought we were thinking maybe Houston. That seemed like a logical fit. He goes to Minnesota. If you look at Minnesota, they're a team that's got weapons. They've got a good defense. They've got a young quarterback now with Sam Darnold being gone. You need to be able to establish some run up front. You need to be able to protect a little better. They were weak in the middle. Donovan Jackson fits that. He's a plug-and-play guy, NFL ready. He's incredibly smart. You could tell that when he was on with us. I encourage everybody, go back and watch that thing. Find out a little bit about Donovan Jackson, first-round NFL draft pick now. With what he brings to the table, he's an elite player, great locker room guy, so he's going to fit in a multitude of ways. Then Tyleek, I think, was kind of the wild card, the surprise. But if you're Detroit, it's a similar situation. Tyleek has tremendous upside, and I don't know if you heard, Booger McFarland, Kuiper, and those guys talking about it, is he's got the size and girth of a shade. I mean, he's 6'3", 330, 328, but Booger's like, he moves like a 3 technique, like a little smaller upfield guy. His thing is like, he's always got to keep his weight under control, but Tyleek is crazy athletic. Don't play him at 3 technique. Let him go. Let him run. Get penetration up the field and be a huge disruptive guy for Detroit. You look at Detroit. They got Aiden Hutchinson coming back on the outside. They had a slew of injury to their defense last year, but they needed D-line help, and they needed D-line help inside. And so that some of the other tackles had already gone off the board. And if you're Detroit, like, do you want to wait? Is it worth trying to wait and see what's down there? Because in the end of the second, probably isn't going to be anything great. Tyreek has first round ability. Boom. You snag him at that point. The need fits. You're in a win now situation. He's an easy guy to throw in there on the defensive line up front. Now you can work some games and different stuff and be able to stun around and be very aggressive on defense. And then the last guy, Josh Simmons. And honestly, I went to sleep before this. I went after Tyreek. I was like, well, we got three. Simmons is gone. I thought Simmons at Baltimore. I talked to our guy, Albert Breer. He had a lot of great nuggets out there about maybe where Trey could go, Simmons, looking at some of these different picks. And I thought Kansas City could be a place for Trey. I thought Josh Simmons, Baltimore potentially to be the heir apparent to Staley. They love getting value picks. Schleggs, you talked about it. If he was healthy, he'd probably be a top 10 pick. And he moved around well. Like, he's recovering from this knee injury fine. So that's not going to be a big issue. But with him going to Kansas City, that pick came up. I was like, is it going to be Trey? Could it be Simmons? Maybe. And Kansas City needs to protect Mahomes. They've whiffed on some guys, not whiffed, but they've drafted some offensive linemen. It hasn't necessarily worked out quite as quickly. But Josh Simmons, the fact that questions about, is he a football guy? All of those different things. That's not something you're going to have to worry about with Andy Reid. Andy Reid does the research, talks about it with guys like, hey, just because the dude's got a nose ring, that doesn't bother me. Let's get him here. Let's go and do this. So he'll be able to come in. He'll be able to be that left tackle. He'll be healthy and ready to go. And it's going to crush me because now he's helping protect Pat Mahomes and helping them probably go win another Super Bowl. So the Chiefs get it, check that box of need. So all four of the guys, I think, went to really good situations for what they're going to be asked to do and where the teams are ultimately at. When you go in the back half of the first round, what's usually nice is you're going to a team, Schleggs, that was either in the playoffs or like on the cusp of making the playoffs, which feels pretty good.
Yeah. And we talked about the value. We talk about fits and opportunity. And it does not matter where you go. It feels nice for the fans and everybody else out there and padding the stats. And one thing I'm going to put up there, put up on that one, Brian Hartline, take a bow. Because to me, in the era of NIL and college recruiting, and how does this impact Ohio State? When you go through and you look at even this draft, and you have guys that are number 19, number 24, number 28, number 32, all going places. Offensive line wise, hey, Coach Fry, like, what are you doing? Boom, here's what it is. And then you're able to show. Hey, this is what we do here. We develop dudes. You have guys from that one room, 5 first-round draft picks over the last 4 drafts. Like, what are we doing, right? Why wouldn't you want to come here? Yeah, take a little less because on day one, your number's being called. Like, that's what we do at Ohio State. We develop you for the next level. We get you NFL ready. That's just adds to the value prop. People are like, I want to go there. I want to be a part of that. That's the school that everybody's talking about. So not just wide receiver room only. It is the fact that all these guys, offensive line wise, D-line, and then all the guys that could be on the cusp of that we're going to see tonight in the second and third round. It just adds value to the Buckeyes and what they do for those guys coming in.
Absolutely. So that's kind of the Buckeye story. We'll get into that and break it down a little more as we move on. Let's hit the poll results, because yesterday we threw up on our poll how many Buckeyes were going to get drafted. I think we had 1, 2, 3, 4 tonight. And 2 was the overwhelming favorite. I think people thought it was probably going to be Simmons and Ibuka.
Yeah.
I could have seen, like I said, Trey sneaking in there, Donovan Jackson. I don't think many people saw Tyreek. I think he was probably on the outside looking in. But think about this, Schleggs. Ohio State, in a year where they weren't supposed to have any elite, like super elite dudes, first round guys, they ended up leading the draft with 3 first rounders. Like, that's, in a year where you didn't think you were going to get as many, or so I'm saying 4. Georgia had 3. You end up getting 4. And the poll will show that, bear that out. Like, 1 was safe, 2 probable, 3 possible, 4 seemed like a little bit of an extreme. And you still get 4 guys. And how remarkable is that when you weren't supposed to maybe have more than 2? you end up leading the draft, leading all colleges with 4 first-round picks.
And the other thing I'm going to say to this too, guys, is that I think it goes back to what it is that you're getting in the age of the NFL now. Like, you guys got to remember, the NFL, when you get there, they think that you are a pro and that you know, and that is not equal across all programs. I'm just letting you guys know this. So when they come in, you still develop guys 100%. Like, but coaches got to win. Like, their jobs are on the line. Like, you got to be pro ready. Like, that's how they kind of think of you. You already know how to take care of your body. You already know that you're going to be able to handle your stuff off the field. They expect you to be in the building and be all about ball. That is not the case at all programs. I think the character stuff, Bob, also plays a significant role in this. That they want guys that aren't going to be an issue that are going to come in right away and be able to make an impact on their teams, and they know exactly what they are getting. Right? Emeka, all these guys, man, culture builders. I still remember watching Will Howard do a lap pull down, and Tyleek and JTT were right there in his face and just making him strain, right? Like, those are culture builder type guys. And like Dan Campbell getting Tyleek, like, he knows what he wants. Like, he got it, right? We even saw that with Vrabel in the offensive tackle that they took from LSU, and Vrabes went down there, put on a pad, and the dude like just struck him and knocked Vrabel on his ass. I guarantee you, Vrabel's like, that's my guy. That's my, because he knows what it feels like to be stunned like that. And then to get a guy that's like, I'll do whatever you want. That's what you're starting to see, man. Like, people aren't taking the chances on guys that, could they help? Could they not? How's he going to be? No, I want a bona fide dude that's going to be here and be a cornerstone of this locker room for the next 4 years.
I love it. A lot more to get into.
Yeah, man, so much.
I mean, this draft. I mean, it's robust because we also got a preview tonight and then also Saturday, and see what that's ultimately going to look like as well, because it should be a big, robust evening. For that, I want to tell everybody though, parents, athletes, protect what matters most with Export mouth guards, trusted by professional athletes, designed by NHL team dentists. Export mouth guards are scientifically tested to absorb these high-impact hits, protecting both your teeth and your brain. Export guards feature 3 layers of advanced protection, including a patented use of carbon fiber. They 3D print that bad boy right to your grill for more protection, better performance, max comfort, clear communication, so you can focus on your game, not on your gear. Don't take chances with your safety. Go to exportguards.com/Bobby to save 15% on your order. Export, protect what matters most. I want to get some of the biggest draft stories of the night from Schlags, what he was thinking, where guys were going, what he thinks the main takeaway was outside of Ohio State. We'll break that here down coming up next on the Bobby Carpenter Show.
Poof, David Copperfield, our Cleveland Browns trade out of the second round pick. And Pat, you talked about Barry was just all about Travis Hunter, generational talent. Could use him at wide receiver. Honestly, the first guy ever to have multiple positions that got drafted in the NFL draft, which is amazing. And there was a great meme of Travis Hunter, like saying like, oh man, I'm going to Cleveland, what WTF? And then all of a sudden the Jaguar logos pop up. Like, how could it get any worse? And it did. That was quite comical. Honestly, great steal for them. That's what they kind of need down here. I'm in Jacksonville right now. I'm talking to people. What do they need? Et cetera, et cetera. We're super juiced about Travis Hunter. The one that I really liked the most was New York's picks in Abdul Carter and Jackson Dart. I think it fits them really, really well. The Will Campbell going to the Patriots. I love that pick for Vrabel. Mason Graham going to the Browns. Really good. Ashton Genty going to the Raiders. Really like that one. Colston Loveland to the Bears. And everybody was talking about Tyler Warren. And what does that look like? I just think Colston Loveland is probably like a better NFL tight end of what they want to do route running wise. I love Tyler Warren. I think he's a hell of a football player. And I like that going to Indy. But then all the Buckeyes, to me, were the story for us. Because there's times in life when the world is your stage and you have to make sure that you use it wisely. And when your city is hosting the draft.
Off script here real quick, Roger, but I just got off the phone with the president, Donald Trump,
Amazing.
He asked me to pass a message along to all 32 NFL franchises. So let me tell you what it reads here, all right?
It's amazing.
It says, my fellow Americans, the Bears still suck!
Yes. And guys, there were so many people there. That was, go ahead.
Can we explain, like, if you're going to do that, Clay, just have it folded in half. Like, he's like having to undo it. I'm like, wait, is this like a fax coming from the White House? I thought it was real.
Well, he said he got a phone call.
So why do you have a message? You write it down?
Why did he have it? You know, and I like it because like it actually had his John Hancock on there, right? And that the Bears still suck. And I love that he made that and photoshopped that on there. But again, it's the delivery. The world is your stage. Use these opportunities wisely. And he gets up there. And I just love the fact, like, hey, Roger, I'm going to go off script for a second. Right? And guess what? When you're up there and you got the mic, you can do whatever you want. It's kind of like when you just, you know, with all due respect and air quotes, you just got to make sure that you take the bulls by the horn and get her done. And what a way to feed the crowd right there. So, again, kudos to bringing the juice. All the people that were up there in Green Bay, there was a ton of people. Mass exodus after their draft. Honestly, first time they selected a wide receiver since 2002 in Green Bay. They were super excited for Jordan Love that he's actually going to have some help on the outside. But that was a super fun moment, Bob.
I think it was Javon Walker, I want to say, was the last first-round receiver that they drafted. I think. I'm not positive on that. He was out of Florida State. I think that was him. Pat's confirming yes. Look at that, Pat. Despite all the head trauma and CTE, the fact that I was up drinking wine, I love marrying the draft, Schlegs, with the weekend. The NFL did it right because now we can spend all talking about the first round, preparing for the second. I like to sit there on Thursday night, first day of the weekend. I'm still living the college lifestyle in my mind. So I'm going to sit there. I'm going to get some beverages. I'm going to be hanging out, ready to go. And I'm going to watch this thing. So, yeah, I need a little bit of coffee this morning to get rolling. But it marries some of the great entertainment that I want. And so why don't you throw up all the first-round picks, Pat, so I can get Schlegs' thoughts.
I did. I kind of gave them. I want to get your thoughts now.
I want to get your coffee, dude. I mean,
I know. Listen, I get it, buddy. I'm over here. I'm drinking a rain. I was at a baseball game last night. They got beat. Now they got to go to game 3 down in, I don't know, someplace in Orlando. So that's on Saturday. So I'm with you. I've already had coffee.
Am I allowed to pull for your son's team to lose so you don't have to travel back down there anymore? Is that okay? I feel bad doing it. Like, I don't really want him to lose, but like,
no, you can't because like I got to move anyways. I'm going to have to be coming back and forth anyways because I have to pack this up. I mean, if anybody could just see, I'm just going to take my deal right here.
Oh,
so
Lord.
This is my entire squat rack. There's my Ohio State lockers that I took out of the Woody. I'm actually going to give those to his baseball coach. And
why? Why didn't you take those back?
They're terrible. They're bad moving. Then I got the Crable crossover.
I'll drive down and get them for you.
No, you're not getting them for me. But anyways, all this equipment's going to the Armory.
I'll drive down and get them for myself.
No, you already got some.
I already have 3, but I got 4 kids. So like all the kids always yell at each other because they have to. My youngest, you have to share them.
No. I got more gym equipment in here. Like this is honestly like what a great garage gym. I'm gonna miss you, but I'll see you every day anyway, so it's okay. Let's talk about the draft. I want to hear your thoughts. My thoughts on this, Bob, were I thought the Jags moving up in that they wanted to get it. They wanted to make a splash. New head coaches, great. I thought the Giants are the ones that won the first round with Abdul Carter and Jackson Dart. Everybody kept making the story about Shedeur Sanders. To me, the story is all of the other people. And again, what do people look for in the draft? Like bona fide, ready people to go in there and make an impact. And I think the Giants had the best 2 picks as like a team, right? Because they're the only ones that really did it. Of what they got out, what they wanted. They got a pass rusher, somebody that's a game wrecker, and they got the quarterback that they want, pro-ready guy.
So I like that. I think, the Shedeur falling is one of the big stories. Obviously,
it is a big story.
They previewed him the whole time, like every single time. Like Donovan Jackson got drafted, and then like here's Donovan back to Shedeur. At least that was on the ESPN. I get it. He's a famous.
No, it was quick too. Like they didn't even give Donnie his flowers at all. Like he got drafted, and then the Giants moved up. That was the deal, right? So it went right to we got the picks or whatever. I don't know.
And what was interesting is it came out that the Giants had the worst meeting ever with Shedeur Sanders. Terrible. Didn't go good. And so I always tell people this. It's a little bit, draft season is a little bit like when kids like each other in elementary school. Like, you're mean to the girl that you like, and you call her ugly and this and that, but you actually like her. But that's the only way you can muster up the courage to talk to her, is by insults. And so that's how you do it in the draft, where I was telling someone, I go, the Giants are trading up. They're like, oh, they're going for Dart. I go, maybe that's a possibility. I go, the other possibility could have been that they trash talk Shedeur so they could go get him later and try to make sure that, like, hey,
That's true.
we don't like him. He's a bad dude. He's got all these
right.
issues. And so you're hitting him with the meat bat so that, you can go get him later. So that's some of the things that the misinformation that's coming out. And I've seen teams do it. And they've said, like, yeah, we talk bad about this guy to everybody so they would fall because we thought they'd go at 15 and we're at 18 and we wouldn't be able to get him. So I think that him following the story, like you said, the Giants go up and get Jackson Dart. I love what Cleveland did. And if you're Jacksonville and you think Travis Hunter's the guy, great. He's very versatile, but he's not Jalen Ramsey and Calvin Johnson put together. He's a little over 6 foot. He's 185, 190 pounds. He's very athletic. He's a playmaker, but he is raw at both positions. Like, he's not really polished. So I think he can be good. And I think that I wish him to have a lot of success. But if you're the Browns, what you did is you got one of the other blue chip prospects in my mind. I think Mason Graham is going to be a Pro Bowler. I think he's going to be a 10-year guy. He's a tough dude. He's from a good program. It hurts me to say that because he's a Michigan guy, but he's tough. I went back and watched this Ohio State game this year. I was like throwing up on myself seeing him because you know what he's going to be. There's a dude that came out of Cincinnati who played for the Denver Broncos, Derek Wolfe, and he kind of reminds me of him. Really, really talented inside guy. So I think that you're going to get that out of it. And if you're Cleveland, what did you do? Picked up a first-round pick next year when Andrew Berry came out and said, hey, you know what's happening next year? Draft's better. So now we'll have more capital if we have to go get a quarterback, which when he said that, it's like, okay, probably not going to take Shedeur today. But when they traded back, it also said, hey, if they like Jackson Dart and he was still there at 20, you then also got a second-round pick. You could have packaged those to move up, maybe with something else. Or, like what Andrew Berry said, the draft is real girthy between pick like 20-ish and 80-ish. And so you're sitting there now at the catbird seat. You've got pick 33 and pick 36. So if you wouldn't have got that second rounder this year, I wouldn't have said it's a good deal. But with where the talent is in the draft, yes, I think that's a great spot. You have 2 picks over 4. And one of the other stories is that Will Johnson fell. I thought Will Johnson was the second best corner in this draft. I said another Michigan guy. I can admit that. A lot of people, I think ESPN had as the 10th overall best player. And so here's the question you have for the Browns now. You're sitting at the top of this draft. You really don't need a corner. You're set there. You've got some good players. But can you afford to pass on a guy who is a top 10 talent, if that's how you have him rated, when you're sitting there at 33? And so do you take him because you just take best available, which I'm never against, because you have no idea what you're going to need, and that gives you flexibility in the future, and it's always good to have good players. Yep. Having good players, to me, is better than always trying to fit a need and maybe overdrafting somebody. So you have that. And and it's a good point. Pat just threw in the chat. Jim Harbaugh passed on him. He coached him there. I mean, that's partly telling. And he didn't work out. He had the injury deal, and I don't think he ran a 40. And maybe he did this pro day, but there's some stuff around him. But I still think Will Johnson, based upon his tape, is really good. I really like him. But if you're Cleveland too, does maybe like New England like him? Is there someone else that you may not want him? Could you trade back, then have like 36 and 38 or something like that, and maybe pick up a third rounder? Because there's a lot of good picks in the third round this year. So them having guys that have fallen, they go with Luther Burden. You go with Travion Henderson, who I was surprised. I thought the Broncos maybe could take him. I thought the Chiefs were another team that might take him, and they ultimately went with Josh Simmons. So those were some of the stories that you were kind of seeing. But there's a glut, I think, of some really talented skill position players sitting here at the top of the second round. Curious to see where the Browns, you've obviously got the Raiders up there, Tennessee, New England, like where some of those teams ultimately go, what they choose to do with their second round picks. And is there anybody trading? Because when they changed to this format, now all of a sudden you've got all day. The Texans are sitting there as well. I thought if Josh Simmons or the Texans could maybe take him, but curious to see where they choose to ultimately go with that, maybe trying to get some more weapons. So if the Browns don't take Luther Burden, that could be an option for the Texans ultimately as well for CJ Stroud. Schleg's want to tell you about our friends over at Backer. They're one of our newest partners. Just got some gear up in the office. Everyone loves it. I've got the gear. Heck, I got one of the hats right here. They're amazing. Oh, they feel so good. But they're jackets, hoodies, unbelievable. It's Backer. They go bckr.com. They're founded on stuff that's a little better quality. If you like that high grade skiing, hunting, fishing apparel, golfing apparel, this is going to be that stuff. They've paired it with your favorite teams. They're with the Buckeyes. They've got it there. It's all branded, officially licensed product. They're unbelievable. And you can go to Backer, bckr.com to buy their stuff. And a portion of the proceeds is going to go back to the Ohio State student athletes. So it's a win for everybody. Like I said, it's a little more expensive, but it's really great. Just try it out. All the features, how it feels. It's going to last, and you're going to enjoy it. So use promo code Bobby, all caps, for free expedited shipping. More on the draft and the Buckeyes coming up next. All right, Schlegs, as we start to kind of lean in to day two now with everything, unless you have anything else you want to get out here on day one.
Now, what did you think about the Bengals pick of the edge rusher from A&M?
Okay, that's interesting. As you start looking at that, because that's a little conversation in potential.
We're in Ohio, so
potential versus production.
Yeah.
So they end up taking Shamar Stewart out of Texas A&M. Big time recruit coming out. It's like the dude's
big time,
6'5", 6'6", 270 pounds. He ran a 4.9 540. He broad jumped 10 feet 11 inches, 40-inch vertical. His 10-yard split cut, Schlegs, was like 158. I mean,
he ran. What do you run? You say you ran a 4.9,
or I meant a 4.59.
Yeah, okay, that's pretty fast for a monster human. Yeah,
270 pounds, Schlegs.
Yeah, no, big guy,
huge. Now, here's the problem with that. He has 4.5 sacks, and he had a sack and a half each season the last 3 seasons. You know, he's got like 12 TFLs. Like, he doesn't have a lot of production. Now, his film shows him playing hard. I'm going to be honest. I haven't watched a ton of it. His film, I watched some of their games. He didn't really show up much. But some of the plays I've seen, like he chases stuff down backside. He plays hard. He has heavy hands. He's explosive. He can bend, all of the things you say. But when you see that, you're like, how the heck have you only had 4.5 sacks in 3 years?
Exactly.
And I said, like, I moved to defense like edge my senior year. I had 8 sacks, and I had a bad shoulder the second half of the season. Like, I know he's playing good talent, but Texas A&M, like, they've got other good players too. It's not like he's seeing double and triple teams every game. And so if Cincinnati, if they hit on this, it's going to be a steal. He's ranked, his player ranking and the big board is right around that pick. So a lot of people have valued him the same way. His comp is Daniil Hunter, who I believe he came out of Tennessee, maybe Schlegs, but he had a very similar college, like not a lot of production, elite athlete, and now he has almost 100 sacks in the NFL. So, like, I don't know. Is that you know, an anomaly, or is this maybe lightning striking twice? They needed rush with Sam Hubbard retiring. You need to bolster that defense. I think he can be a good guy there, but he's going to have more production than that.
100%, Bob. And like that you know, we have talked ad nauseum about production and what do people want to see? And they want to see, and we say this for our own guys, right? Like, one of the biggest things when you talk about Will Howard, who's coming up later in the show that we're going to discuss, we talk about the last 4 games. We talk about the run. We talk, the playoff run. We talk about what he did against the best competition. You talk about Donovan Jackson and what made him somebody that was a bona fide first-round pick was versatility, obviously as a guard, but also what he did against the Abdul Carters and the guys from Texas and the guys from North, like the great defenses that they played, Tennessee, in the playoffs. Production, Bob, is what we talked about. And then you go and you watch the Bengals, who definitely need, a pass rush, and they go and they take somebody that has zero production. This is very different than the Eagles.
Zero strikes. He had 4.5 sacks.
Okay.
Heck, you might have had 4.5 sacks in your career.
I think I did.
It was little nubby arms. You had one missed sack against Vince
one missed sack of Vince Young. Okay, but anyways, I digress, or you digress me, and it's just the point being, like, I think the Eagles took a chance on a guy that had a lot of injury history from Alabama, the linebacker. But when you watch him play, he's a very, very big dude, and he can play outside. He can play in the box. He can read and like fly. Bigger guy, really big guy, but still production was there. And that's just at 17 in that pick of where's the lack of production. I don't know. And sometimes, guys, I just let you guys know this. NFL coaches, a lot of them think like they're the greatest coaches of all time. Like, oh, I can get it. I can increase this production. This guy has a very high ceiling. Your point that I absolutely love, Bob, the most is you talk about high floors. And like that, to me, it's like I got somebody production-wise with a low floor but a high ceiling, and I got to do a lot of development. But when you talked about the tackle from LSU and Mason Graham and all these other guys, like their floor is very high, and they also have a high ceiling, and they're going to come in right out the gate and add a lot of value to our organization.
The reason why guys have high floors is because usually they have to have the requisite physical ability, but it's a function of like how hard are you going to work. I mean, there's first round picks that are out of the league in 3 years, and I'm like, sometimes you miss on talent, but usually you're missing on character at that point, because like you wouldn't be drafted in the first round, like second or third, if like you didn't have some ability to play there. It's a function of how hard are you going to work and how disciplined you're going to be. By the way, Schlegs, you would have been a low production, but maybe a high ceiling guy. Two sacks, 7 TFLs though, Schlegs. So you got that going for you.
Oh, is that Ohio? I'm looking at my screen. That's why I had to do that. Yeah, you know what? I had a lot of TFLs. I like.
Yeah.
I
think they gave most of them to AJ. That you would jump.
Of course they did. 100%. They gave them all to AJ.
But you look at that Mason Graham. I thought like maybe I didn't have the greatest NFL career, but it's like, hey, I'm gonna show up every day. I'm gonna go to work. Like you know what you're gonna get. You know that out of Mason Graham. You know that out of Emeka Egbuka, Donovan Jackson. Guys like that. As we talked earlier too, Mason or Will Campbell. Who's gonna show up and they're gonna play. And so that's what you got to ask yourself. The one thing too with Cincinnati taking him, Pat asked, like, does that take Jack Sawyer out of the mix for them? Probably. I would think, because I thought JT or Jack would be a good fit there, unless Jack's available maybe in the third round. I think that then you would reconsider it just because of the value pick there. And you know what? Get some more. That defense needs a lot of help though in some other areas, so it'll be tough.
Is Hendrickson coming back? Is he coming back?
Yeah,
they signed him.
They haven't. I mean, they haven't released him. They haven't traded him, and he still is under contract. He wants more money, but maybe they'll give him some and figure that out. And maybe Hendrickson can coach him up, because Hendrickson's not the greatest athlete, but he's highly productive. He's like the inverse of Stewart of what you're getting right there. So maybe he can kind of teach Shamar, hey, dude, do it this way, and you'll get to where you need to go. But Stewart does play hard. He's not a lazy dude on the field, which is key.
And I'm going to say this, guys, like I don't want any of our guys going down there to Cincinnati, because you're already behind the 8 ball because they put a first round pick on him. And now it's like you got to develop him, but then Jack's just better. Are they going to play him or are they going to rotate him? Like, I don't want any of our guys going down there. That's just selfishly me for them. They might want to do it, but like, well, you missed. Now, are they going to be able to like swallow the pride and say, hey, we missed on this guy because this guy's a third round or second round pick and he's more productive? Like, no, they're not going to do that. They're going to make sure that the guy that they drafted is out there. So for me, I don't want another Buckeye going down there on the edge.
I get it. And that makes sense. Last question for you. Were you surprised? We've got our prospect preview coming up here, and it's going to be our guy, Will Howard, potentially going tonight, maybe second, third. I could see him maybe sliding to the fourth, but we'll see how all that shifts for him. That's coming up next. Surprised to see Loveland go ahead of Ty Warren, the 2 tight ends that both won the top 15. Loveland went 10 to the Bears. Warren went 14 to the Colts.
Yeah. Oh man, I was trying to look it up. I think he wore number 44 for the Colts, the tight end.
Dallas Clark.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sorry. I don't know why the name escaped me. To me, Ty Warren is a Dallas Clark. I think both teams got exactly what they want. I think Loveland is a more and a tall, like really tall guy, can play in space, had some injuries this year. But I think as an outlet and what they want to do with the Bears, probably more of a better, like wide receiver, tight end type. And that's what they wanted. I don't think it's more of a he was better at tight end than Warren because Warren was just a game wrecker all the time. Like they had to use him and he made a tremendous amount of plays. To me, the fit of him in Indy he reminds me of Dallas Clark. And I love the fact that he went there. And I think Colson Loveland is a guy that the Bears wanted to be an outlet, in that organization. So I like the way they work themselves out. I think they're good fits in both organizations.
Absolutely. All right. Coming up next, we got our prospect preview and headlines. We'll preview Ohio State quarterback Will Howard, currently on the board, coming up next. All right, welcome back in the Bobby Carpenter Show. Listen, headlines, they're brought to you our friends over at Lake Spur Marketing. Lake Spur Marketing, they're a full-service agency. They're going to do it all for you, from soup to nuts. They're built on trust, strategy, and performance. Lake Spur, their team shields you from the crap you don't want to do. They're outside noise, the cold collars. They let you do what you do best, actually run your sting business. Got over 100 years of marketing experience, so they know what they're doing. And Lake Spur Marketing eliminates the waste. They deliver on budget, which is always key. You don't like the surprises at the end. They don't chase clicks. They build partnerships. Lake Spur Marketing, the proof is in the partners. All right, Schlegs. Old Billy Howard. We've got two quarterbacks off the board. You've got Shedeur Sanders hanging out there. You've got Quinn Ewers hanging out there. You got Tyler Shuck hanging out there. Kyle McCord, Will Howard, 6'4", 236, beefy guy, athletic. He's 23 years old. He's played a ton of football, strong, physical. His strengths, big bone, carries his weight, plays large in the pocket. Like he looks like an NFL quarterback.
Yeah.
Mechanics affect his touch at times, but he was an accurate passer. You saw what he did. 70% completion this year, bumped that way up from his time at Kansas State. He improved a lot from the beginning of this year to the end of the season. Looks down the field, keeps his eyes down the field, keeps plays alive, mobile, moves. For being as big a guy as he is, he has good footwork, good quickness, like probably taught like more of a strider than like very sudden. But does it all. And ranked number 2 in the FBS in 2024 with 8 50-yard plus completions down the field. Wow. Bombed the ball a lot. So did some good job. So what are your thoughts on Will?
Which is something that everybody said he couldn't do, Bob, right? Like arm strength, accuracy, all these different things. We saw in the season that he got better with the deep ball. To me, Will is a guy that – man, I would love to see him to go to Cleveland and be able to sit behind Flacco. I would love to see him go to the Rams and sit behind our guy Stafford. That would be cool to watch. So I think that the one thing that Will brings in there, he is a chain mover body, right? He is a Josh Allen type body. That's who Gruden even talked about. And I just think when NFL coaches go back and see the transformation of a guy, like he's not done even developing, because he went from 61% completion percentage at Kansas State to like 74, 73, whatever. Highest completion percentage rate of anybody that ever played the position at The Ohio State University in one season because of Ryan Day and Chip Kelly. People like that. He is a leader. He is a locker room guy. He is everything that you want. And whoever could potentially get him in the second or third round, I think it's a steal. I'm not going to say a steal. I think you're getting value there.
Yeah.
So to me, like he's somebody that you want. I would love to him to go to an organization that already has that mainstay at quarterback for the next year or two for him to continue to learn and develop. But I think he's going to be a great addition to anybody's organization.
Yeah, maybe Vegas with Chip Kelly. Geno Smith's down there, sit for a year or two behind him, get a chance to go play. Great fit. All right, that's it for this edition of Headlines, brought to you by Lake Spur Marketing. We got our tailgate talk. Got a good question from earlier this week. We're going to rip that off and go take a look at that here coming up next on the Bobby Carpenter Show. the best question that we had saved from earlier this week of the ones. I think it was Wednesday. Here it is, Schlegs. What are you most excited for with this Matt Patricia defense?
I'm just excited to see the versatility and the utilization of our athletes. Because I think last year, under Knowles, we just got like, we're running his system as to necessarily opposed to are we allowing our guys to be the best version of themselves and put them in those positions to win and have success. And when you're at Ohio State and you get a lot of like blue chip, really athletic dudes, and then you try to put them in a box, and we have habitually done this for a long time, aka a Baron Browning, right, as a Mike linebacker, and he's like rushing the passer in the NFL. Like, why wasn't he there from the get?
Similar to you, Legs. Like, I mean, they put you in that middle linebacker box. You should have been
a nose guard,
stand up nose. I mean, that's
exactly stand up nose with the full like arm pads from the 50s. I'm like 50 years late from when I was born. So, anyways, to me, that's the most exciting thing, and how he simplified it and how much buy-in he's gotten from the guys. Yeah. Not only that, though, from even the coaches on the staff are excited about they're using their guys. Like when a James Laurinaitis, it's the all-time leading tackler for the Rams, is juiced up about it. I get juiced up about it. So I'm excited to see what happened this year.
It's good. All right, coming up next, we'll put a clamp on the end of the weight bar, Schlegs. We take it into the weekend. Second, third round coming tonight, but we've got our dudes of the week coming up next. All right, Schlegs, dudes of the week. We got 2 Ohio State coaches not named Ryan Day, not on the football staff. We got Ty Tucker and Nick Myers. Nick Myers won the first Big Ten championship in lacrosse history at Ohio State. Coach of the year in the Big Ten, and Ty Tucker won his 975th Big Ten championship and also Coach of the Year for the tennis team. So both of those guys, Buckeyes, awesome job. We'll talk a little bit more about them next week, but they're doing a great job in just bringing power and glory to the Buckeye name. Awesome dudes, do it the right way. That's it for this edition of Bobby Carpenter Show. Stay locked in, watch the draft, and be back on Monday as we break everything down that happened over the weekend.